The hell to be endured hereafter, of which theology tells, is no worse than the hell we make for ourselves in this world by habitually fashioning our characters in the wrong way. These striking words from William James reveal something profound about human nature that he understood over a century ago. James wasn't merely discussing theology here, but rather illuminating one of the most fundamental aspects of human psychology, the extraordinary power of habit to shape not just our actions, but our very identity. William James, often called the father of American psychology, devoted considerable attention to understanding how habits form and why they wield such tremendous influence over our lives. In his masterwork, The Principles of Psychology, published in 1890, James argued that habit is nothing less than the flywheel of society. This mechanical metaphor reveals his deep appreciation for how habits create momentum in human behavior, storing energy from our past actions and releasing it to drive future ones with remarkable efficiency. James understood that habits operate below the threshold of conscious awareness, functioning as what he termed acquired reflexes. When we repeatedly perform an action, our nervous system literally carves pathways that make that behavior increasingly automatic. This process, James observed, serves a crucial evolutionary function by freeing our conscious minds from having to deliberate over routine decisions. Imagine if you had to consciously think through every aspect of walking, speaking, or driving a car each time you performed these activities. The cognitive load would be overwhelming. But James recognized that this automaticity comes with profound implications for human character and destiny. He wrote extensively about how our habits don't merely influence what we do, but fundamentally alter who we are. Every time we act in a particular way, we strengthen the neural pathways that make similar actions more likely in the future. This creates what James called a growing and hardening mass of automatic behaviors that increasingly define our personality and life trajectory. What made James's approach revolutionary was his emphasis on the moral and practical dimensions of habit formation. He understood that habits operate democratically, strengthening whatever behaviors we feed them, regardless of whether those behaviors serve our long-term interests. The same psychological mechanisms that can lock us into destructive patterns can also be harnessed to build beneficial ones. This insight led James to develop what might be called a technology of character development based on deliberate habit cultivation. James offered practical wisdom for anyone seeking to establish new habits or break old ones. He emphasized the importance of making strong initial resolutions, arguing that the emotional intensity accompanying our decision to change creates favorable conditions for new neural pathways to take root. He also stressed the critical importance of never allowing exceptions during the early stages of habit formation, noting that each lapse weakens the delicate structure we are trying to build. Perhaps most importantly, James recognized that lasting change requires what he called the acquisition of new motor patterns. It's not enough to simply think differently, we must act differently. This insight anticipated modern research showing that behavioral change often precedes psychological change, rather than the other way around. James understood that we don't just act according to who we are, we become who we are through how we act. The relevance of James's insights has only grown in our contemporary world. Modern neuroscience has validated his intuitions about habit formation, revealing the specific brain mechanisms underlying what James observed through careful psychological analysis. Research on neuroplasticity confirms that our brains continue reshaping themselves throughout our lives based on repeated behaviors, just as James predicted. In our current era of digital distractions and decision fatigue, James's emphasis on habit becomes even more crucial. We are constantly bombarded with choices and stimuli that fragment our attention and exhaust our willpower. Understanding how to leverage habit formation allows us to create islands of automaticity that serve our deeper values and long-term goals. Whether we are trying to establish exercise routines, develop creative practices, or build better relationships, James's insights provide a roadmap for sustainable change. The technology industry has certainly grasped the power of James's insights, designing products and platforms that deliberately exploit our habit-forming tendencies. Social media companies, app developers, and marketers study the psychology of habit formation to create what they call sticky experiences that keep us engaged. This makes it even more important for individuals to understand these same principles so we can consciously direct our habit formation rather than having it manipulated by others. James's vision of habit as both society's flywheel and the sculptor of individual character offers hope and responsibility in equal measure. We are not prisoners of our current patterns, but neither can we change without sustained effort and strategic thinking. The habits we choose to cultivate today will determine not only what we accomplish tomorrow, but who we become in the process. Understanding William James's insights on habit formation provides us with both a mirror for examining our current patterns and tools for reshaping our future. His work reminds us that small, consistent actions compound over time to create profound transformations in both our capabilities and our character. Subscribe to The Psychology of William James to explore more of his timeless ideas.